Hello, everybody. Welcome to World Mythology. My name is Lauren Finelli Teague, and I will be guiding you through this course this semester. I wanted to introduce myself and say hi. Hi. I am like an embodied person on the other end of the screen, rest assured. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time walking you through the syllabus and just introducing the course, some of our class's goals, and also how the course will actually be conducted online so that you get a better sense of what's going to be expected of you on a weekly basis. And I'll obviously go over some of your larger assignments and how the grading will break down for this class as well. So first thing is first, obviously this class is going to be conducted online. But that does not mean that it will not be, that we will not be intensely active every week of the semester. There's a good amount of reading to keep up with every week. And just a word to the wise, because I have taught online classes before, if you do feel that you are sort of falling behind in this class, because it does move quickly and it is easy because you aren't showing up to a classroom every week, it is easy to kind of check out or just sort of lose your footing a little bit. If this happens, please don't put your head in the sand and pretend that it will all go away and be okay. Just reach out to me, tell me, that you're struggling to keep up, and we will come up with a plan to make sure that you can catch up in a timely fashion and get back on track so that you can continue on with the course and succeed. Okay, so that's just like, not to start off with some bad news, but this does happen. So I just want to encourage you to reach out if you do find yourself in this situation where you feel like you've kind of missed a week or two and you're struggling to catch up. Just reach out and I will help you get back on track. Okay? Don't fade into the distance. All right. So this course importantly fulfills one of your SAS core curriculum requirements for the arts and humanities, which asks you to analyze arts and or literatures in and of themselves, and then in relation to other literatures, and taking into account different histories, values, technologies, cultures, etc. Okay, so this course does fulfill that particular requirement, and I have details about that basically on page 1 of your syllabus. In this first week, we're going to be talking about what actually are myths. We're going to be talking about what specific qualities constitute a myth and why myths have survived throughout the centuries, and why seemingly every culture has its own version of the same stories, and how these stories capture and communicate certain sociological or historical aspects of various cultures, and how these cultures have survived by this transmission of these stories in the form of these myths. So that's one of our concerns early on in the semester will be to really kind of examine what an actual myth is, how it does get transmitted throughout different cultures, and how these stories really do capture the essence of different cultures. And we'll put them in conversation with one another to see how they resonate, to see how they diverge. And that's really kind of the crux of a comparative literature curriculum anyway, is to look at different literatures and to really see how they resonate with one another, and how our readings are actually influenced by our own sort of position or point of view based on where we are in the world, based on the language that we speak, based on how we're situated historically or sociologically or politically. So we're going to keep these sort of issues in mind as we work through some of these texts. And we'll be reading also in different mediums. We'll be reading fiction, we'll be reading religion, we'll be reading poetry, theater, theory. So we are going to really kind of run the gamut of different genres here to get a really full scope of how myths are presented and then circulated. Okay? All right. I do want to really highlight for you, I do have sort of our departmental learning goals and the course's learning goals, and you can read through those, specifically. The main thing that is the same for both is what I hope you will gain from this course is not only to be exposed to myths from a variety of cultures and influences, but also to become more attuned critical readers and ultimately critical writers. We're going to practice reading closely and critically and analytically, and we're also going to practice writing analytically and from a comparative perspective, really taking different literatures and putting them into a conversation with one another again, and seeing what new ideas we can kind of drum up from that interaction between these texts. Okay? Here are your course requirements. You should wake up now because you care about this. Weekly participation in our discussion forums, and I'm going to go into detail about how that's going to be conducted, is expected. Each week will be broken down into 2 halves. So Monday to Wednesday, Monday morning to Wednesday evening will be one set of readings. Thursday morning to Sunday evening will be a second set of readings. Okay, and we'll have 2 discussion forums that will go on for both sets of readings every week. And I'm going to go into more detail about that in a few minutes. You'll also write a creative assignment. We're going to be starting the semester looking at various creation and destruction myths from different cultures. And then you will write your own creation destruction myth and you will share them with the group. This seems, for some people who are not creative people, this seems like a very terrifying assignment. Do not check out. I've had students like that before, and they've been like, this is actually a super fun activity once I got started. And you'll have a lot of influences because we're going to be doing a lot of different readings and we'll be discussing, so hopefully it'll generate some ideas. But the actual details for that assignment are currently posted under your assignments tab, so if you want to take a sneak peek, you can go ahead and do that. So you will do that. That's worth 10% of your grade. Your weekly participation in our discussion forums is worth 20% of your grade. You'll also be doing 3 short timed writing assignments. Not timed, sorry. You'll be doing 3 short, they used to be timed. They're not anymore because I've gotten nicer. You'll do 3 short writing assignments throughout the course of the semester. I will announce them as we go. I'll give you at least a week's notice of when we're going to have them. Basically, this is a way for you to practice your comparative writing in a more shorter, focused way. It's kind of a sort of in-between from the more informal responses of your discussion posts and the more formal responses in your midterm and final papers. You'll have between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. on the day that the short writing assignments are due to complete the assignment and to submit them. And I'll go into detail about exactly what I expect from the short writing assignments as we approach our first one. And there are also instructions for them if you also want to take a look that are posted under the resources tab too. Then you'll do 2 formal papers. We're going to have a midterm paper, 3 to 5 pages, and we'll have a final paper, 5 to 7 pages. For each of these assignments, I will post 3 or 4 prompts under the assignments tab 2.5 weeks out from when the papers are due, sometimes even longer, so that you can really have a sense of the direction that you want to go in for your papers. And I'll give you a couple of options that you can choose from where I kind of pull out specific themes that you can pursue. Typically, we examine 2, no more than 3 texts in relation to one another. And again, I will provide you with a lot more details and instructions as we approach those 2 assignments. So the papers are both worth 25% of your grade, combined 50% of your grade. So those are the course requirements. That's the breakdown. Beyond that, I have a list of some required readings. I've given you the text that we're going to be using and links to them through Amazon. You certainly don't have to get them from there, but Amazon does tend to give you a bunch of different options, ebooks or used copies. Some of them you can actually even rent if you want to do that. A lot of the text that we're reading I've scanned and uploaded for you under the resources tab, but there will be texts that we'll be reading and anthologies that we'll be using that have a lot of good historical background and information that will be useful to us as we proceed. If you have issues getting these texts, you can always be in touch with me. I can try to help you out. And I've scanned everything that you need to read for this first week I've scanned and uploaded for you under the resources tab so that you have some time to get these texts. Again, if you have questions about them, please be in touch. Okay, let's talk about the structure of the class. So as I said, we're going to have discussion forums every week. Sorry, my back hurts. Ugh. Anyway, we're going to have 2 discussion forums per week and 2 sets of readings that we're going to be doing per week. I will post a series of questions. I'll be posting for the first set of the week, the readings, I'll be posting on Monday mornings. You will have until Wednesday evening at 10 p.m. to respond. You will have to respond at least 2 times during these discussion forums. Your first response should focus on 1 or 2 of the questions that I posed. Do not answer all of them. 1 or 2 of the questions that I've posed, and you should submit a 200 to 300 word response. This response should not be a summary of the texts. We've all read them. This response should be a specific answer to some of the questions. You should use quotes from the text to help you support your ideas. It should be kind of a practice ground to help you to start processing through some of the main issues, themes, motifs in some of these works. And it's good practice ground, actually, for your short writing assignments and ultimately your 2 formal papers. So the first set of readings, I will post questions on Monday morning at 9 a.m. You will have until Wednesday at 10 p.m. to respond. You'll have your initial longer response of 200 to 300 words and a secondary response that's shorter, 100 to 200 words. And that is supposed to engage one of your fellow classmates. You can expand their argument. Hey, that was a really good point. I also saw that, but in this particular way. You can respectfully challenge them. Oh, it's interesting that you interpreted that in this way. I actually saw it like this, and here's why. You can just tell them that you liked their point and why, or how it related to your initial post. This is intended to really try to emulate a discussion thread. So you're not just sort of writing in a vacuum, but you actually are reading through the responses of your classmates and engaging them in some kind of a conversation, okay? So 2 responses at least per discussion forum. 1 will be longer, 200 to 300 words, answering 1 or 2 of my initial questions, and a shorter response, 100 to 200 words, that will engage one of the responses of your classmates, or multiple classmates if you want. So the first set of readings will run from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. The second set of readings, I will post new questions on Thursday mornings at 9 a.m. That discussion forum will run until 10 p.m. on Sunday. Same concept for both. 2 responses per discussion forum every week, okay? All the specifics for this are on your syllabus. I'm just trying to highlight them for you. I talked to you about your writing exercises and your creative assignments and your formal papers. I've given you the grading rubric. Let's talk about an attendance policy. This is kind of tricky, obviously, because you're not walking into a formal classroom. However, attendance will essentially be taken, and here's how I take it. You're allowed to miss 3 discussion forums throughout the course of the semester without any kind of penalization. This is basically like missing 3 classes throughout the course of the semester. After this point, and that's not for like 1 week, that's 1 discussion forum, so that's half a week's readings, just to be clear. After this point, I will deduct 1 point from your final course grade off for every discussion forum that you miss. Okay, so that's what I mean when I say that this course, even though it's an online course, it's not a self-paced course, meaning you are expected to participate twice a week in our, bi-weekly discussion forums so that you can receive points for those discussion forums and basically showcase that you are keeping up with the readings and attending the classes. If you have any questions on that, feel free to be in touch. I will be in touch with all of you individually about halfway through the semester. I usually touch base and give you some feedback on your discussion forum posts so you know sort of where you stand. I'll tell you how many absences I have for you, just so that you are tuned in. Sometimes I email these, sometimes I set up sort of Skype meetings so that we can talk kind of in person. And sometimes if I have enough people, like I will be on campus, typically on College Ave campus, and I'm happy to meet with people in person as well, just to go over sort of your progress in the course or answer any questions that you may have. I'm always accessible. I check my email daily. Please feel free to be in touch with me at any point so that you can clarify anything that you need clarifying. Now's the time to ask the questions early in the semester if you have any concerns, if you're confused about how the class is being conducted. Typically after like a week or two, after we do maybe 2 discussion forums, people sort of get the hang of it. And then it's sort of easier to know sort of what's expected. In the beginning, there's a little bit of a learning curve, and that's fine. Let's talk about course policies. So you have 3 absences without any kind of penalization, 3 discussion forums that you can miss. Late assignments are generally not accepted. If you have, I will always give you pretty fair heads up on any type of due dates or, when your papers are going to be due or when we're going to be conducting a short writing assignment. That said, people work, people have other responsibilities. I get that. If you anticipate having a problem submitting anything on time, please be in touch with me in advance. I'm always happy to work with students and adjust as needed. However, emailing me the day after something was due or a couple of days after something was due and being like, whoops, sorry, isn't going to work. You do need to be responsible for your work, and you do need to submit things on time. So if you anticipate having a problem, be in touch with me in advance so that we can work something out. We use MLA citations in this class. I've given you 2 guides for proper MLA citation, in-text citation, and works cited pages that you can find under your resources tab. There is a specific link to Rutgers library, which lays out the MLA citation guidelines, and also the OWL, the Purdue University, which is a great resource. I'm sure many of you know it already. I've given you a link to that as well. You'll notice under the resources tab that it's organized by week. If you click on each week, you will find PDFs of whatever supplemental readings we're doing. You will find lecture notes. You will also find these materials under the lessons tab. Lectures are also posted under there. The lessons tab actually allows me to embed web material directly onto it. So you'll see links to YouTube clips, interviews, readings when we're doing some of the poetry work, just some cool cartoons or reenactments of some of the plays that we're going to be reading. A lot of supplemental resources are provided for you. So check the lessons tab and also check the resources tab so that you can really get the full effect of all of the mediums that we're going to be examining, which should help your reading experience and also your understanding of these texts, which is vital, obviously. Anything else? Something on plagiarism. Don't do it. Just don't do it. It's really easy these days to inadvertently, unknowingly plagiarize. If you read something online that was a good idea and you use it in a paper and you don't cite it, that unfortunately is plagiarism. It's not just a word for word, pulling, blocks of text from another source. So if you have any questions on citation or what constitutes for plagiarism, please be in touch. There are also tutorials that you can take and links that I've provided for you. If you have a disability, I've given you a link to Rutgers Disability, the Office of Disability Services. If you need any type of accommodations, there's information for you there as well. And then, of course, there's our schedule. What comes first, I've kind of split our, I've kind of given you a week by week play of what's going on, but what comes first is what we're going to be looking at for the first half of the week. For example, basically tomorrow and Wednesday, we're going to just be doing introductions. I've given you some instructions on that. Go to the forums tab. I have a little link that says introductions. Really tough stuff here. And just introduce yourself briefly, your name, your year, where you're from, if you have a major, why you're taking this class, most importantly, your favorite ice cream flavor. Ice cream is life, as we all know, so share. So you'll do that, and that will be kind of like our first discussion forum. Thursday morning, I will post actual questions, and that will kick off our first real discussion forum, and we're going to be reading a little bit about what is a myth, What are the critical elements of a myth? How can one recognize a myth? Why and how do myths survive? So that will start officially on Thursday. So the top set of readings is for the first half of the week, then there's a space, and then you'll get a second set of readings, and that will be for the second half of the week. Again, if you have any questions, be in touch. My email address is on the first page. I think that's it for now. I'm running out of breath. Okay. I think that's it. Let's do it. It'll be fun. All right. This is a fun class. Yeah. If you have any questions, just be in touch, and away we go starting tomorrow. Bye.